If you are still here, reading this, breathing through this moment, then understand something very important. Survival is not an accident. It is evidence. Evidence that something inside you refused to die, even when life applied pressure with full force. When the year began, you did not know what was coming. You did not see the storms waiting for you. You did not prepare for the nights when sleep would not come, for the mornings when your body moved, but your spirit felt heavy, for the moments when silence was louder than noise. Yet you walked into all of it anyway, and that is why this message is not casual. It is not entertainment. It is recognition. God said congratulations, because you survived what was meant to break you. Most people misunderstand survival. They think survival means winning, celebrating, standing on top with hands raised. But true survival looks very different. True survival is quiet. It is invisible. It happens when no one is clapping for you. It happens when there is no audience, no encouragement, no guarantee that things will improve. It happens when your plans collapse one by one, when expectations betray you, when people you trusted reveal limits you never imagined. In those moments, survival is simply choosing not to stop. Not because you feel strong, but because stopping would mean losing yourself. There were days this year when you questioned your own strength. Days when you looked in the mirror and did not recognize the person staring back. Your eyes carried fatigue, but also experience. Your posture carried weight, but also balance. Life did not hit you once. It hit you repeatedly in different forms. Pressure from responsibilities, disappointment from people, fear about the future, regret about the past. All of it arrived without asking for permission. And yet, you absorbed it. You learned to stand under that weight. This is where most people break. They break because they expect life to be fair. They expect effort to always be rewarded immediately. They expect pain to come with explanations. But discipline teaches something different. Discipline teaches you to remain steady even when the situation is unclear. To remain respectful even when treated unfairly. To remain focused even when the outcome is uncertain. This is not weakness. This is advanced strength. Think carefully about the moments when quitting felt reasonable, when walking away seemed logical, when giving up felt justified. You had valid reasons. Anyone listening to your story would have understood if you stopped. That is what makes your endurance rare. You were not held together by perfect circumstances. You were held together by internal order, by values that did not change just because conditions did, by a quiet voice inside that said, "Stay," even when everything else said, "Enough." God does not congratulate comfort. Comfort requires no transformation. Comfort does not train the mind or refine the character. Pressure does. Resistance does. Difficulty does. And you lived through it. You learned how to function while tired, how to think while emotional, how to make decisions while uncertain. These are not small skills. These are the foundations of mastery. You may not feel victorious. That is normal. Real growth often feels heavy, not celebratory. Muscles ache when they grow. Minds feel strained when they expand. Spirits feel tired when they mature. What you are experiencing is not depletion, but transition. The old version of you could not carry the weight you are carrying now. That version had to be challenged, stripped, reshaped. Some illusions had to die. Some attachments had to fall away. Some beliefs had to be confronted. None of that happens gently. There were moments you felt alone, even surrounded by people. Moments when explaining yourself felt exhausting, so you chose silence. Silence became your training ground. In silence, you learned to observe instead of react, to listen instead of argue, to endure instead of escape. This is not accidental behavior. This is the behavior of someone being prepared for higher responsibility. Survival does not mean you were fearless. You felt fear. Survival does not mean you were confident. You doubted yourself. Survival does not mean you always knew what to do. You were confused, but you kept moving anyway. That is the difference. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to continue despite it. And that decision, repeated daily, reshapes a human being. Look at how your standards have changed. Things that once triggered you no longer control you the same way. Situations that once overwhelmed you now feel manageable. You have developed tolerance for discomfort. You have learned patience. You have learned that not every battle requires a reaction. These lessons were not taught in moments of ease. They were earned in moments of pressure. This is why the message comes now, at the end of the year, not at the beginning, when motivation is cheap and promises are easy. But after you have been tested, after you have been weighed, after you have been exposed to your own limits and pushed beyond them. Congratulations is not a reward for perfection. It is acknowledgement of resilience. Understand this clearly: what tried to destroy you failed. Not because it was weak, but because you adapted, you adjusted, you strengthened. Water does not fight the rock. It wears it down by persistence. You became like water, flexible, patient, unstoppable over time. Some wounds are still there. That does not mean you lost. It means you lived. Scars are proof of contact with reality. Proof that you did not hide. Proof that you participated fully in life, even when it hurt. A person without scars has not lived deeply. A person with scars who still stands has earned respect. God sees what people do not. The nights you cried quietly. The mornings you forced yourself forward. The times you chose discipline over impulse. The times you chose integrity over shortcuts. These choices accumulate. They build an internal structure that cannot be shaken easily. That structure is more valuable than any external reward. You may not have everything you wanted, but you have something far more important. You have yourself, stronger, more aware, more grounded. And that is why you are being congratulated, because the fire did not consume you. It clarified you. It burned away what was unnecessary and revealed what was essential. Carry this understanding with humility, not pride. Survival does not make you superior. It makes you responsible. Responsible to move forward with wisdom. Responsible to use your strength with restraint. Responsible to remember where you came from when things improve. Today, on the 27th of December, take a breath and recognize your own endurance. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. Stand still in that recognition. You are not the same person who began this journey, and that change was not free. It was paid for with effort, patience, and pain. That is why the message is simple and heavy at the same time. Congratulations. When things did not move according to your timeline, you called it delay. When doors stayed closed despite your effort, you called it rejection. When answers did not arrive even after sincere prayers, you called it silence. But now, standing closer to the end of the year, your perspective has changed. What you once believed was punishment reveals itself as protection. What you once interpreted as being ignored was actually being guided. God did not slow you down to frustrate you. He slowed you down to save you. Most people believe that speed is success. They believe that if something comes quickly, it is a blessing, and if it comes slowly, it is a curse. But discipline teaches a different truth. Timing is everything. A sword given to a child becomes a danger. Power given to an undisciplined mind becomes destruction. Wealth given to an unprepared spirit becomes a burden. You were delayed not because you were unworthy, but because you were not yet aligned. Think honestly about the things you wanted earlier this year. The position, the recognition, the relationship, the breakthrough. You believed you were ready. At that time, you could not see your blind spots. You could not see how impatience still controlled you, how ego still influenced your decisions, how emotion still overpowered reason. If those things had arrived earlier, they would not have elevated you. They would have exposed you. Delay is not empty time. Delay is training disguised as waiting. In that waiting, your character was being tested. Would you remain disciplined without reward? Would you stay focused without validation? Would you continue doing the right thing when no one was watching? Most people fail here. They grow bitter. They rush. They compromise. They force outcomes. You were tempted to do the same, but something held you back. That restraint did not come from fear. It came from protection. You were being kept away from outcomes that would have demanded more than you could carry at that stage. Life does not just give, it assigns weight. Every new level comes with pressure, and pressure reveals weakness instantly. God does not promote to punish, He promotes to build. So first, you were trained. Look at how much you have been stripped this year. Certain people faded out of your life. Some connections dissolved without explanation. Some plans collapsed despite careful preparation. At the time, it felt unfair. But now you see it clearly. If those people had stayed, if those plans had succeeded, you would have stayed the same. Comfort preserves weakness. Loss exposes it. In the delay, you learn to stand alone. You learn to think without external noise. You learn to validate yourself instead of begging for approval. This is not emotional growth. This is spiritual conditioning. Silence was not emptiness. Silence was instruction. There is a reason disciplined warriors train slowly. Movements are repeated thousands of times before speed is added. Why? Because speed without accuracy creates mistakes. Strength without control creates injury. You were being slowed down so that your foundation could be corrected, so that your posture could be adjusted, so that your inner balance could be restored. You wanted answers. Instead, you were given patience. You wanted results. Instead, you were given resilience. You wanted clarity. Instead, you were given endurance. These are not lesser gifts. These are prerequisites. If you had received what you asked for earlier, it would have amplified your weaknesses instead of your strengths. Anger would have grown faster. Ego would have become louder. Fear would have hidden behind success. God protected you from becoming powerful without becoming stable. Delay teaches humility. It removes entitlement. It forces self-reflection. In the waiting, you were confronted with yourself. No distractions. No shortcuts. Just you and your discipline. Many people run from this phase. You stayed. That is why this delay was sacred. It separated you from the crowd that rushes blindly. It taught you to move deliberately, to choose wisely, to understand that not every open door is meant to be entered. Some doors open to test your discernment, not to reward your desire. Now, notice how your mindset has changed. You no longer chase outcomes the same way. You no longer beg life for permission. You prepare quietly. You build internally. You trust timing more than impulse. This did not come from motivation. It came from waiting with awareness. Protection often feels like restriction. Just as a parent restricts a child from touching fire, God restricted certain outcomes from touching you. Not because you were weak, but because you were still learning control. Fire warms when used correctly. It destroys when used carelessly. You are now calmer, more patient, less reactive. That is evidence that the delay worked. You are no longer desperate for arrival. You are focused on readiness. That shift alone proves growth. Do not resent the time it took. That time shaped your nervous system, your decision-making, your emotional regulation. These qualities are invisible, but they determine longevity. Fast success collapses quickly. Slow preparation lasts. On 27th of December, understand this truth deeply. What did not happen earlier was not withheld out of cruelty. It was postponed out of wisdom. The delay was not a denial. It was alignment. And now, when the next phase begins, you will not enter it reckless or inflated. You will enter grounded, centered, conscious, able to hold what comes without losing yourself. That is why God says congratulations. Not because you arrived fast, but because you waited correctly. There was a time when your circumstances controlled your emotions completely. A single message could disturb your entire day. A small setback could steal your focus. An unexpected problem could trigger fear, anger, or helplessness. That was not weakness, that was an untrained mind reacting to pressure. Life has a way of revealing where control truly exists. This year, that lesson was delivered repeatedly, until it finally settled deep within you. The greatest battlefield has always been your own mind. Your environment did not suddenly become kind. Problems did not disappear. Challenges did not politely step aside. What changed was not the world around you, but the world within you. You began to notice a shift so subtle that at first you did not trust it. Situations that once overwhelmed you now felt familiar. Stress still arrived, but it no longer owned you. Fear still whispered, but it no longer commanded your actions. This is not luck. This is mental strength forged under pressure. The mind, when left undisciplined, behaves like a wild animal. It reacts instantly, exaggerates danger, and seeks immediate escape from discomfort. It turns uncertainty into panic and delay into despair. Most people live their entire lives under the rule of such a mind. They believe their thoughts are facts. They believe their emotions are commands. You began to see through that illusion. Through repetition of hardship, you were forced to pause, forced to breathe, forced to observe your reactions instead of being consumed by them. At first, you failed often. You reacted emotionally. You said things you later regretted. You doubted yourself unnecessarily. But slowly, something changed. Awareness grew. You started catching your thoughts before they turned into actions. You started creating space between stimulus and response. That space is where power lives. Life trained you without asking for permission. Every challenge became a lesson in self-control. Every delay became a lesson in patience. Every disappointment became a lesson in emotional regulation. You learned that reacting instantly does not solve problems. You learned that silence can be more effective than noise. You learned that not every thought deserves your belief. There is a deep difference between suppression and control. Suppression hides emotion until it explodes later. Control acknowledges emotion without being ruled by it. You learn to feel without collapsing, to acknowledge fear without surrendering to it, to experience anger without letting it poison your decisions. This is advanced inner discipline. Your circumstances still tested you. Bills still needed to be paid. Responsibilities still demanded energy. Uncertainty about the future still appeared. But now, instead of panicking, you planned. Instead of blaming, you adjusted. Instead of escaping, you endured. These shifts may seem small, but they are revolutionary. A person who can remain calm under pressure cannot be easily defeated. You began to understand a core truth. Circumstances are temporary, but character is cumulative. Every time you chose composure over chaos, you strengthened your nervous system. Every time you chose clarity over reaction, you refined your perception. These internal changes compound silently, just like interest. One day you look back and realize you are not the same person. You stopped expecting life to be fair. That expectation alone had been draining your energy. Instead, you focused on being prepared. You stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in questioning changes everything. It transforms victimhood into responsibility. And responsibility is power. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to feel good. It is about training yourself to remain stable regardless of how you feel. You learn to act based on values, not moods. To keep moving even when motivation disappeared. To remain consistent even when emotions fluctuated. This is the mindset of those who endure long term. Your mind became a place of observation rather than chaos. You began to notice patterns in your thinking. You saw how certain fears repeated themselves without evidence. How certain doubts resurfaced during stress. Once seen clearly, these patterns lost their authority. Awareness weakens unconscious control. There were moments when you felt emotionally empty. Not sad, not happy, just still. That stillness was not numbness, it was balance. It was the mind resting in neutrality instead of swinging between extremes. From that state, better decisions are made. From that state, clarity emerges. You no longer define yourself by your worst moments. You no longer panic when things go wrong. You understand that setbacks are part of movement, not proof of failure. This understanding brings calm. Calm brings precision. Precision brings progress. This is why God congratulates you now. Not because your life became easy, but because you became steady. A steady mind is a weapon against chaos. A steady mind can navigate storms without losing direction. A steady mind cannot be manipulated easily by fear, pressure, or urgency. Your strength now lies in your response, not your circumstances. And that strength was earned through repetition, through patience, through endurance, through discipline applied daily, often without recognition. Remember this: once the mind is trained, external conditions lose their power to control you. They may influence you, but they do not own you. That is freedom. And that is why, on this day, the message is not about what you achieved outwardly, but about what you mastered inwardly. Congratulations,